Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our new chapter of the Emios endeavors. This is Secrets of Stau Trana. Same old cast, same bad GM, but it'll be fine. I'm your host and storyteller, Eric Taylor, and over there in the storybook, we have the important people who will make it all happen. Let's introduce them really quick after we get to a couple of business items. First and foremost, this is a Savage Worlds game. We have friends in the Savage Worlds community. Examples of those are wildcards. You should watch them every Friday. They're amazing. But also, check out Savage Mojo on Twitter, at Savage Mojo. They are starting a Kickstarter in September for their Suzerain setting, which is a really interesting, cool setting. And they are giving away some free content. So if you check the description box of this YouTube video, you can find links first to Savage Mojo, but also to this free content that they're giving away. So be sure and check them out. And as always, check out our Patreon at patreon.com/DoRespite, where you can help support us because hopefully you like us. Don't forget to do the like, share, and subscribe thing. And you can keep these wonderful people wanting to come back. Some of those wonderful people include Frito. How are you, Frito?
I'm good. I'm happy to be back.
Me too. It was a good week off, but at the same time, I sort of rely on playing on Wednesday night to fill my Wednesday night because my wife always works on Wednesday nights. So I was bored. Sarah, you were probably also bored on Wednesday night.
I was. I'm glad we're back to playing game with my favorite GM.
We should get you some more GMs. It would probably help. Speaking of people who should probably GM at some point, Chantel, how are you?
I feel immediately attacked. just we haven't even started playing and I feel attacked.
There was it wasn't even like a preemptive strike involved. This was just a direct lunge.
Straight into my GM soul that doesn't even exist yet.
That's okay. It can exist someday. Or not. It's up to you. But I've heard Sam has GM'd before.
I've heard that as well.
I would hope so. I mean, I'd be really concerned if you're like, no, I've never heard that I've GM'd. I have, but I've never heard it.
There's these parts in my memory that are just blank. I remember going to a game. Oh no. But I'm excited for this game. I've been told I'll be sacrificed to a Kraken. Haven't done that before. New experiences are good.
If you get sacrificed to a Kraken, I'll give you a little bit of information about where we'll be, and you can just whip someone up, and by the time the ship gets there, you can just show up as a new person on the dock. It'll be fine.
Oh my goodness, wait, hang on. If Onthu gets sacrificed to a Kraken, do we get a food description from the Kraken's perspective?
Kraken just describing the succulent taste of orc flesh. I feel like I'm already going to get demonetized as it is, so why not?
Yes.
But everyone's like, should we be eating orcs? I mean, it sounded... I don't...
Yeah.
Huh.
It's delicious. I don't know. Emios food descriptions are harder than Outer World food descriptions since I get to, rely on real world ingredients and recipes in the Outer World. You should all stay tuned for in the past when this comes out on YouTube, since we're not live streaming right now. And you should watch our first episode of Ley Lines of London because there's a pretty solid food description in there as well. All right. So last time we played this game, you guys had been having some dreams. You'd had gotten a weird tattoo, which Sarah then added to her cosplay. Which then forced me to create a drawing of a tattoo so Sarah could create the tattoo. You met an orc named Onthu. Sarah's character, Flora, apparently got a cook fired so she could have a job. Then
I think I insulted him, so he quit.
No, that's correct. You did insult him, so he did quit. And you found a ship of, I believe, Orcish origin, which was going to take you to a place where there's black sands. I believe you guys decided you were headed to Veacaris.
I think we were on a Orcish ship going back to the Stormkite Island to be like, hey, can you take us to Veacaris?
Makes sense. Yep. It has been a long 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So many things have happened, including my son starting school. So I'm a little frazzled at the moment as a thing. So we'll start from there. You are all aboard this Orcish, kind of skiff. I think we discussed it had a crew of 2 people and you. And one of those people is currently aloft, being waved around in the tentacle of a Kraken. I also don't remember what the NPC's name were, because 2 weeks.
Aloft Orc had no name because
One of them
I
had
think it was Kenna was
Kenna.
Yes.
piloting the ship, and Red Shirticus was
yes.
being consumed.
The brave.
Well, due to
Shirticus the Brave.
the Orcish penchant for ending in R's, O's, or Oo's, we will say it is Red Shirt R who is being hoisted up by this tentacle. I'm gonna roll some dice. We're
in
gonna
3 days.
start a game with some dice rolling on my part, which is usually the sign of a rough game for the players, I'm told, if Sarah is to be believed.
Only if the dice rolling's against us and not Red Shirt are.
No, it's definitely against Red Shirt R.
Okay.
All right, well, that was a 16 on the roll to, attempt to rip Red Shirt R apart. So now we will roll for the actual apart tearing of Red Shirt R. Good news, Red Shirt R. None of those exploded. They all rolled 1 or maybe in one case 2 below exploding levels, but one of them's a D12. So
It's not going to live anyway. Never mind.
20 is still enough to rend Red Shirt R from himself. So he is just right down the middle with plot appropriate Foley, as Jamie would say if he were here. And I'm now realizing all of my playing cards are still in my old office. So hopefully someone's got some. All right, Sarah, you're dealing initiative. Let's not have as many jokers as the last time I played Savage Worlds with you.
Stack the deck. Stack the deck.
I mean, we watched her on camera shuffle, and we got 6 jokers in 3 rounds.
didn't do it on purpose. I don't have my sticky notes. Someone else is going to have to keep track of who's got what. And then while we're doing other things, I shall sticky note my desk. I'll just hold one up and you can say who gets it. It
This
is
will be...
a 2 of spades.
All right, Sage, 2 of spades.
This one is a joker.
Belmere with the joker. Which means everybody gets a penny.
Yay, hesitant. I got Joker.
Oh, doesn't hesitant mean you get 2 cards and have to take the lowest?
Not with
Unless
a joker.
it's a joker.
Not if it's a Joker.
Okay, now we have an ace of diamonds.
And Omthu.
And then a jack of hearts.
Going to Flora.
And
And Kraken Tentacle. I need 3 for the Kraken.
okay, do I show them or just put them in chat?
Just show 'em.
Okay, 10 of hearts,
Okay.
7 of hearts.
All right. And the Kraken's head.
His head gets a separate card. 3 clubs.
Yep. The right-hand side tentacles get 1 card. The left-hand side tentacles get 1 card. And the head gets another card.
Oh, I'm not feeling good about this.
All right. That brings us to the first person on the list. So as normal, Frito, with a Joker, I think this is the first time you've ever gotten one, so I'll explain it. Twice? All right. You get to go whenever you want. I will start with the top of the initiative order, which I believe will be Ep2. And you get to interrupt when you would like to go. So take it away, Mr. Orc, as you watch probably your well-known friend, Red Shirtar, get riven in two. Oh, I need 1 more card, sir, for Kenna. Jack of diamonds. What?
Probably.
You are well within range of any large tentacle. So this Kraken has 2 massive tentacles that are proving to be issues that you will engage with. There are other smaller tentacles, but essentially it's got like 4 tentacles. And then it has a looming head that, I will be honest, is not technically in this round. It will appear at its initiative card, but since I'm not drawing initiative, I couldn't have the secret card like I usually would. But it will essentially appear at the bow of the ship. So if you picture it, you have the ship, and you have tentacles on either side of the ship, and then you have a head of a Kraken going to eat the ship.
Probably saying something in Orcish that he shouldn't say in front of his mother.
His mother probably taught it to him, given that he's Orcish.
That's fair. That's actually, it's like, in the event of Kraken attack, this is what you say.
This is the appropriate thing.
That's a long string of words.
I think for seafaring orcs, there's probably actually a specific curse phrase for Kraken attack. Like, it's actually a legitimate thing that you fear.
Death by Kraken is like 4th on the list of reasons.
General
most
mortality
common
rate.
causes.
Bad selfish.
Yeah.
War, shipwreck, Kraken.
Other orcs. I'm going to, he sort of unhitches his hammer, but he puts a hand on, one hand to his chest and one hand onto Kenna's shoulder, and I'm going to be casting deflection on both of us, and then going to then take a swing at one of the tentacles.
All right, so we're multi-actioning here twice.
Yes.
So you're looking at that hot -4 to all 3 rolls. We'll start with the Kenna cast.
Well, the deflection, I'm just spending more power points to cast on more.
Cool. Yep, no problem.
But he only has range of touch, so he has to go up and...
I'm with you. All right, so just -2.
So for deflection, let's spend that Benny.
Okay.
And not have a 1 and 2 on our first roll. Oh, much nicer. So with the -2, that was 9.
Okay.
On that.
All right. With the -2, so you rolled an 11 total?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, yep, you will get a raise on that, which means you'll each get a 4 modifier. Yep. So it's
both
4.
attacks against either of us are -4. And it kind of looks like a combination of like just wind sort of whipping around us that isn't affecting the person themselves, but also with like sort of wisps of light that seem to be flickering in and out, just sort of swirling around their bodies.
Cool.
And then when I attack the tentacle, he has frenzy, so I'm going to roll an extra d10.
Okay.
So one of the attacks is just a 1, but the other one is a 10 with the negatives.
The 10 will hit, but it will not raise.
Okay. 10 for damage.
Okay. It is shaken. So you shake the one tentacle, but you're all kind of actively involved in this combat, so I won't make you roll here. The shake on the one appears to have shaken the other tentacle.
Oh, fun.
Okay. So brings us to who's next on the initiative order? Frito, who wrote it down.
Flora.
Flora is next. I was like, I thought Frito was writing it down. But luckily Chantel
It
did.
went way too fast.
All right. Flora, you're up.
Flora's going to go on hold.
All right. Flora's on hold. Brings us to
Tentacle.
Tentacle. We'll need to unshake. Tentacle will fail to unshake.
Tentacle. And then head.
Tentacle will fail to unshake. Head will appear as its action. Essentially, it surfaces, and you feel the smaller tentacles for story purposes, but the smaller tentacles wrap around the skiff, and the skiff is now up in the air, not in the water, which will now put you all on unstable ground, which is not a modifier that we have played with previously, but you are now all on unstable ground as the large Kraken attempts to, feed you to itself. Who is next?
If Frito doesn't, it is Sage.
All right, Sage.
Sage is going to yell, "Why does everything try to eat me?" And go over and smack one of the tentacles and try to get it to put us down.
Okay, are you attacking the one that Olmthu was previously attacking, or the other one?
If there is no distance difference, I would prefer to attack the one Olmthu was attacking.
Okay, yep. So take your gang up bonus. So your gang up bonus is +1. You are unstable, however, so you're at a -2. Oh no, because you're not using ranged, you're attacking regularly, so you're fine.
Mhm.
So just +1.
+1, 5.
That will not hit.
Can I spend a Benny?
Mhm.
Do that. No better. Okay. Oh, wait. No. 6.
Nope, will not hit.
Nope. Never mind.
You need a 7. All right, Kenna, I
No.
believe. Unless Belmir is going to act.
I will take my staff and walk over to the other one.
Okay.
And attempt to hit.
All right, go for it.
Four.
That will not.
Wait. Wouldn't I have a +2 because
You
I
do
got a
have
joker?
+2 because of the Joker, yep.
Okay, so it would be a 6, which would still be no. Screw it. Let's use my Joker Benny.
Okay.
Why not? Well, still a 6.
You do not manage to hit the tentacle. It warily outwaves your waving stick. Kenna will now go with the deflection added from Omthu. He will they will nod to Olmthu and reach back and unstrap the massive broad-bladed battle axe that's across their back, and will run forward and will actually lunge off the bow toward the head of the Kraken. Because Kenna.
Wait, we need to use the bar.
Kenna will get a 7, which will hit the Kraken's head. Also with no raise. But it will hit. And it will be strength. Okay. Kenna will get an 8, which will shake the Kraken's head, as it were. Which puts us to a new round. So starting with Sage first, please.
Okay, I have my sticky notes arranged so I can keep track. Let's see, it is an 8 of clubs. You said that was Sage's.
Yep, Belmere.
A queen of clubs for Belmere.
Nope, second
Oh,
card.
I get 2. Oh, I get the second one.
You get the 6.
6 of,
Oh, sorry, spades.
and Omthu,
Gets a 10 of spades.
and 4.
She gets a 7 of clubs. And then
Tentacle
Kenna
left.
Kraken first. Oh, tentacle left. Okay, well, I didn't put that many sticky notes out. Tentacle left gets a 5 of clubs. We'll stick it on the left. There we go.
Tentacle right.
Gets Joker.
Okay.
Head gets a 5 of spades.
Yeah. And Kenna.
And Kenna gets a king of diamonds.
Okay. All right. Kenna goes first. Kenna is going to, once more with feeling, while standing on this Kraken, raise the axe up above over its head with both hands and swing. Will once again get just a 7, which is enough to hit. And he will roll double 1s on damage. So accomplished very little. But that will bring us to right tentacle. To unshake. And will fail. Omthu.
Am I able to get to the Kraken's head?
Yeah,
from where I
you
am?
have to run and jump off the bow of the ship like Kenna did.
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay.
I'm going to do cast and then attack.
Yep.
I'm going to cast Smite this time, just on
Okay.
myself.
The run and jump, by the way, is in athletics.
Oh, okay, is it?
So you are going to be at 3 actions.
I will not do the casting then.
All right, athletics first. If you fail the athletics, you're -2. You don't make it. We roll some dice and see if you fall in the water.
Cool. -2, you say?
Mm-hmm.
Because of the multi-action. I'm going to spend another Benny then.
And yes, for those who are watching this episode, having just watched the last, I was reminded that Kenna is a girl, which is correct. She is a female orc.
6.
Okay, that will get you onto the Kraken's face. Now make your attack at the same -2.
Spending a Benny. All right. So 22.
It is definitely with a raise.
No, 20. Sorry.
Well, that reduction of 2 still gives you a raise.
Well, that's tight. Yeah. $17.
Okay, the head is far more squishy than the tentacles are, as it turns out. So you manage to do some serious blunt force trauma to the head, and that will be was already shaken by Kenna, so it will be 3 wounds to the head. A couple of things are going to happen. First, I'm going to spend a GM Benny and try and soak some of those wounds here. And roll double ones, so I won't be soaking those wounds, nor can I Benny them. But you will trigger the Kraken tentacles and its head's berserk edge. So it's now a mad bro Kraken.
Althus sort of glances at Kenner and is like, you do remember that you still need to pilot the ship, right?
This is not my ship. If it sinks my ship, it doesn't matter if we make it back to the Isles or not. I'm
Fair
dead.
point. Fair point.
Okay. Brings us to from Jack to 10 to Sage.
Sage.
Sage is gonna smack it twice in the tentacle.
Okay. And you don't have the fancy edge, so you're multi-action here, right?
Yep.
Okay.
And I'm gonna spend a Benny again.
You guys do remember who your GM is, right? You guys don't get bennies that often.
We're
aware.
excited to be back.
I'm aware.
So rarely
That's why I'm
spend them,
spending
I stay
another one.
excited.
As Sarah sits there, is like, I wish Eric would give more bennies. I've been
But
saying
you
that
know-
for 4 years.
Since I'm the one
No.
dealing the cards, we all know how that's going to go. I don't do it
Well-
on purpose.
That's great, but no, still hasn't worked. I can't get one hit on this thing. The
Wow.
highest I can roll is a 6 today.
You just Sage.
Yeah.
You know those movies where like the woman tries to hit the bat out of the air with a broom? That's what Sage is right now. Just wildly swinging.
Just smack, smack.
I did the same thing last round.
It's true. And it's now Flora's turn.
Flora's going to pull out her frying pan and try her hand at whacking these tentacles.
All right.
Wait, is this the fighting pan?
Yes, the fighting pan.
It's important that you only pull out the fighting pan because somewhere in heaven Cobalt would be grumpy if you used the cooking pan.
It is true.
Make that hot fighting roll.
Five.
5 against the tentacle will not hit.
I will Benny it.
All right.
I still only got a 5. It's fate. I am also doing the yeah.
All right, Belmere.
I'm going to look. Are there any harpoons on the
Yeah.
ship?
Mhm.
Okay. Belmer's going to grab a harpoon and throw it.
You are on an unstable
the head.
platform.
I
It will
know.
actually be harder to throw.
I know.
Okay, do it. I like this plan, so I'm going to give you a Benny
Yay.
as a thing, and you are at a -2.
So
because
we're
it's
going
unstable
to
platform.
unstable platform, but
Athletics.
strength or athletics?
Athletics
Okay.
roll to throw stuff.
Ooh.
This was lower than my fighting. I made a bad decision.
Correct. D4s are fun. 5 minus 2 is 3. I'm going to spend the Benny you just gave me.
Okay.
Crit fail so I can skewer. Oh, still 5 minus 2 is 3.
Okay. So you narrowly miss the tentacle, and you just hear this.
Oh, I was throwing at the
splash.
head.
Oh, at the head. All right. You narrowly miss Olmthu and Kenna, and it just like bounces off of like one of the ridge sections above the tentacle's eye.
I'm helping.
I'm helping. All right, deal us a sage card, please, Sarah.
Huh?
We're back to the top of the round, so we got to deal some cards.
Oh.
Oh, I thought I still had 2 tentacles left, but
Mm.
They failed to unshake.
oh, okay.
Oh.
They're doing as well as you are.
Sorry, I have to shuffle because both jokers have
More
come out.
jokers. It's okay. I will remember to bring the cards in here.
Yeah, I mean, you mean I have to work harder than just being a player?
You
What's
remember
up with
when we went
that?
through that we almost changed systems thing? I didn't bring the cards in when I moved my office into this new space.
Okay. Sage gets a queen of clubs.
Okay.
Belmere, because this is the order I've got them in, gets a 7 of spades.
Nope, try again.
Oh, yeah. 2. The second one's higher.
7 of spades.
Omthu gets a king of diamonds.
And Flora.
And Flora gets a 7 of diamonds.
All right. Left tentacle.
Left tentacle gets a 6 of clubs.
Right tentacle.
Right tentacle gets a 4 of clubs.
Head.
Head gets a 3 of diamonds. And Kenna gets a king of clubs.
All right. King of gloves. All right. Kenna is going to wild attack. Try and kill the head of this Kraken. And will roll a 14 to do so, which will be a hit with a raise as a thing. And she will roll a 22 on damage, which will in fact end the life of this poor Kraken head.
Secret is having Eric on both sides.
This is the thing when the dice work for you. Okay, so you watch as the Kraken head begins to gush forth that viscous black inky blood of its nature. I need an athletics roll from Kenna as well as Omthu to get back to the ship as, you know, the Kraken violently drops it into the ground. Water, not ground.
Yeah, I just got a 3.
Kenna rolled double ones.
It's like too long going, that was awesome. That's really good. Oh no, wait, hang on. Ah!
Yeah. So, all right. So, you all watch. You hear these crunching battle sounds. You're all kind of dodging around because there's lots of, for story, you know, cinematic purposes, the other little tentacles are like smashing down on the deck, and you're all kind of moving back and forth, not hitting anything. But then you watch as all the 2 massive tentacles kind of go straight up in the air and start to sink below the waves, and you hear this roar. And as you feel the ship collide with the water again, and you're all kind of thrown from your feet, cinematically speaking, you kind of start to take a look around and take stock, and you realize that there is no Kenna and there is no Omthu on the deck of this ship.
Sage runs to where they last saw
To the
both.
bow of the ship. Okay.
Yeah.
Sam, give me a just give me a straight agility roll here actually give me a notice roll first.
Who? Sam.
Sam for Omthu. Kenna
10.
will roll a 3 on there. So you roll a 10? Okay. As you're looking around, the big Kraken is falling beneath the waves, sinking below. And this is not the first Kraken you've fought. But you begin to see smaller little tentacles reaching up and grabbing at you and at Kenna. You, with your raise, are able to kind of evade and, you know, swim out of the way and brandish your hammer in such a way to kind of keep yourself free, Kenna is getting rapidly tangled up in tentacles that are trying to drag her beneath the waves. And Sage, as you run up to the edge, you see that Olmthu's kind of just waving his hammer in the water to keep things at bay, and then you see Kenna is struggling to stay above the waves.
Can I use elemental manipulation and freeze bits of the water near tentacles to help her get out and help both of them get out?
Sure, why not?
Laura is meanwhile looking for a rope coiled up on the ship.
So you're definitely, we'll say you're able to kind of lower the temperature to the point where you're able to you're slowing them. I don't necessarily know, freeze is a little bit beyond elemental manipulation's breadth, but we'll say you can bring the temperature down to, where a creature that's used to living in warm southern waters is struggling to stay moving. So roll your cast.
I got a 7. I rolled
7.
it already.
Okay, I didn't hear you.
Oh, wait, no. An 8.
An 8. Okay.
Exploded.
Yep. So it starts to slow down. Olmthu, you're able to get to the side of the ship fairly easily. Kenna will need to try and break free. So if somebody, we'll let Olmthu roll for Kenna here.
If Kenna hasn't broken free, I would have gone to her rather than the ship.
Okay, let's roll Kenna's. Kenna's just is rolling 2d6.
Okay.
1 wild die and their athletics, and is struggling against the Kraken. So your target number is a 5 for Kenna.
That's actually what you got.
Okay, so she hit the target, so she breaks free, and you guys are able to get to the ship, and your friends haul you up into the ship again. Your new friends. Okay. The thing you notice, Olmthu, is Kenna is coated in the black blood of the Kraken. And that blood is known to be incredibly toxic and cause all sorts of issues as a thing.
Would I know sort of the appropriate course of action?
Kill them.
Oh dear.
I'm sorry,
Black-
kill who?
Black Kraken blood essentially is believed to cause the curse of the Zahagan. It's believed to change people into something else. There's no proof of it, but the practice is essentially anyone tainted by the black blood of the Kraken is to kill them.
But I've not ever. So what you're saying is that's like the belief. That's the sort
It's
of
the belief, yeah. It's essentially
there's
the.
no. He's
Yeah,
not seen
so-
evidence of that actually being.
Yeah, you've
a
never
thing.
seen it happen, but the belief is that, that the Sahagan that attack the Isles where you're headed, the belief is that the way they reinforce their ranks is because they seem to command the Kraken. You believe that the black blood of the Kraken are what spreads the curse. But it's
Is
up to you
Kenna,
whether
like,
Olmthu believes that or not. No, Colm, she's totally out.
Laura doesn't know this, so she's just going over to check
Yeah.
on her and see if she
Oh,
has wounds.
Omthu
Yeah.
is big on like, if it was a thing, he would appreciate a peer reviewed
Right.
a thing. He's just like, he's sort of like a take it with a grain of salt kind of thing.
She's inhaled a bunch of water and she's unconscious, and she looks like she's been dipped in tar. Like she's just coated in this very viscous, thick blood that is congealing very quickly.
It's sort of like I'm trying to wipe off or just grabbing handfuls of it and just throwing it over the ship or something as much as I can. And then also, I guess sort of
Homsu,
CPR.
we need to flip her over and get her to spit all the water out. She's going to choke on it. How do you get this black stuff off?
You're essentially like having to strip it off with like a knife. Like you're essentially like almost like shaving.
He's got like a hatchet that he's.
Just start peeling her clothes off. Half of it's stuck to her clothes. Her skin underneath should be fine.
I'm mostly focusing on the
Flora's like
head
doing
and
that.
neck at
She's
this point.
starting to.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And that's sort of almost like we have to get as much of this off her as possible. It is believed to be bad.
Bad
to say the
how?
least.
I'm fuzzy on the whole good bad.
Bad why? What does it do?
Bad in the way that if it was any other orc here, she would now be dead. Bad in the sense of it turning her into something we do not want. I do not know if it is true, and I do not intend to risk it by leaving it on her. But I will not also kill my friend on superstition.
Can we get the water out of her?
Yeah, you guys
Actively
are. I mean,
trying
it's
to
not
do
hard.
both.
Yeah, it's not.
Okay, cool.
From a storytelling perspective, you get her over. You know, you force the water out of her lungs. She starts breathing. She's still very unconscious. And as you're looking at the blood, because I imagine Flora is focused on the get her breathing portion of the discussion. What is Belmere up to at this point?
Belmere's not. He's gonna help clean off the blood.
And Sage.
Sage wants her to start breathing again, or breathing properly. So Sage is focused on the breathing part.
Okay. So Belmere and Omthu, you notice the blood is essentially crystallizing, like it's becoming like a chrysalis, like on a butterfly. Like it's hardening very, very, very quickly as it exposes to the air. And it is kind of sealing, and you're having to legitimately dig down, and like you're stripping her skin very raw as you pull it off. It's like pulling off tar or pulling off thick wax, like it's leaving that red raw, like you're removing top layers of skin. And you start up by her head and her face and her neck and stuff, and as you're moving down, it gets harder and harder to strip off the further down you go. Like the faster this hardens, it becomes very difficult. Go ahead and both of you just give me, I'm gonna go with survival or healing. You pick one. And just give me rolls. And based upon Belmere, you're going to be assisting. So you roll first. Each success will give Sam a +1.
I don't have those skills, so please roll well.
I rolled a 9.
Okay, so that's a +2 to your roll. And the only reason you are having to take point is you're the only one who's seen this before.
Okay. So what was the assist bonus?
+2.
And not having the skill is a -2?
Mm-hmm. So flat roll.
So 7 overall.
Okay. You are able to, by the time you reach the point that you're not able to get anything off without actually like cutting into Kenna as a thing, you're able to clear more or less everything except like one leg. So like one of her legs is still largely covered in large patches of this blood that has more or less hardened and seemed to seep in such a way that you'd be carving into them to get something off. But she's breathing fine.
Once she's breathing,
Mhm.
Sage is going to look at the tarry stuff
Mhm.
Is it still like the bits that they've got off? Has that hardened? What's happened to that?
Yep. It's almost like petrified wood. Like it's almost entirely crystallized at this point.
To the boat?
Yep. Anything where if it was liquid, it's now on the boat itself. Like if they're like cutting it off and they've pushed it off, like it just becomes like chunks of this kind of petrified wood stuff. But like any of the drips that dripped off before it started to crystallize is just, it looks like there's tar on the boat.
How far away are your people?
I don't remember how far into the boat trip we were before we got attacked.
You have another probably hour and a half.
We are still some way.
Do we need to row?
Most likely, yes.
Well, let's row then. We need to get there. Wait, did you say that she would be dead?
The belief is that it would. What was it believed to turn them into again?
Sahagin.
Sahagin, that's right. It is believed that the black blood of a Kraken, should it cover you, would turn you into a Sahagin.
And that kills you?
No. The rest of the crew kills you, so that it does not happen.
Are Sahagin bad?
Yes. They are
The mortal enemies, essentially.
They are creatures of hunger and violence. They attack and consume.
So if we take Kenna to your people, are they going to kill her?
I do not know.
Will they recognize what is on her leg?
Yes, very much so.
Then it sounds like they will kill
What we
her.
have just done is not normally done. It is... Everyone just assumes that should they get the blood of the Kraken on them, that they will be killed as a matter of course. They have accepted that. I'm not a good example of my people. Never much good at the things that they value in general.
Is she going to be mad when she wakes up?
To be fair, that was going to happen one way or another, but I don't know.
Right. I'm going to take her axe and all her sharp implements and go stash them somewhere else.
Maybe we should cut off her leg.
There is... I do not know if this is just a belief based on superstition or if this is true. Even if it is superstition, it would come from a place of truth.
Notice,
But I don't know. I have never seen this happen to anyone. No one that I know has ever seen this happen to anyone. But they are still just because people are killed quickly when it happens. They are not given the chance to change.
Give me a notice roll, Flora.
Five.
The blood that is on Peregrine, not Peregrine. Peregrine was put in chat, and all my brain went there. Blood's on Kenna's leg. It seems to be like crawling up. Like it is spreading.
Omthu, do the legends say whether this is like a disease or a poison?
It is not something that is. This is not a thing that people have studied. It's
Well,
an old tradition.
that's a problem, because if you look at it, it's spreading. I'm going to try and heal it. I can neutralize diseases and poisons as well as heal wounds. It just takes extra effort.
I would appreciate that.
Flora's going to try and heal her.
Give me the roll.
Seven. Oh, no, +2. 9.
Okay. Everybody who isn't Flora, give me a notice roll.
Three.
Right, Omthu is in shock that his friend is being sahaganized.
20. Where were they? Where were these explosions? Nobody knows.
Sage, as Flora goes to heal, you see, you still heal with your food, Flora.
Yes, she gets a little cracker, makes it glowy.
Okay. So as Flora's doing that, she lifts it up. She is thinking, praying, whispering, whatever it is that Flora has decided to do with her new druidic magic versus divinely granted magic.
You hear her whispering, but you can't quite tell what she's saying.
Okay. And it glows kind of this very natural, beautiful, soft green color for just a moment and makes it glowy. The tattoo on Flora's arm, however, the blade of that sword, of that dagger, glows purple. And just soft flecks of that purple leach up into the green glow for just a moment and then dissipate out. And Flora, crumbles up the biscuit into the... I've never quite figured out how the food version of healing works with unconscious people. It definitely goes back to the whole Princess Bride, we'll have to force feed him, as they shove the chocolate-covered pill down his throat to bring him back from being dead.
I imagine it like a melty tab, that kind of thing.
Yeah, it's like
you
Ritz,
crumble it and it's
Ritz
just melty.
crackers. It just melts away because they're just butter,
Yeah.
essentially. Yeah, we'll go with that.
Yeah.
And you see the green kind of extend, and you see it kind of working its way. Like you literally see that green glow like through the veins in, as we've stripped down Kenna for the most part, you're able to see those veins. And it just works its way through those veins and it moves down toward where the problem is. You see there's this green glow, and after a minute, you see cracks start to form on the blood casing, and then it crumbles away just in chunks. But underneath, that leg is not orcish anymore. That leg is very scaly and blue and fish-ish. Ends in like a webbed foot.
Was it still like was the whole leg covered by that point?
For the most part, it had grown. So it's like a section from about mid-thigh down to like just above her ankle.
All superstition comes from a basis of truth.
I hope she doesn't want to stay with her people.
I hope she doesn't still want her leg.
Just because her leg looks different, does that mean that her personality will be different?
So how would your people react?
You don't know.
Like I said,
This has never been done.
unprecedented. My fear is not well, but I have no idea.
Flora? Remember how I made portals with my magic in the future?
Yeah.
Thu's like, I'm sorry, what?
No.
They've mentioned that they're from the future before, and he's just like,
Oh, I was thinking the portals part.
oh, right, yeah, still, it's just like, I think he very quickly worked out that with Sage, it's just like, okay, you need to roll with this.
There weren't any of those in this fight. That was a good thing.
Sage didn't use any magic.
I didn't use any magic is number one. Number two is when you made the biscuit all glowy, your tattoo decided to glow. I think your tattoo likes your magic.
It Did it do anything else?
Yes, the tattoo on your arm, the flames around the blade are now purple.
Oh, look, it changed color. That's not concerning. Do yours have purple flames?
I
Nope.
used magic, no flames.
Nope.
Nope.
Cool. I'm the special one.
Yes. I like the color. It's nice.
Yeah, purple. My magic is green.
Yes.
I don't know what purple means. I guess we'll find out.
Actually, give me a druidism roll or whatever we chose to be your magic being called. Should be called druidism, but
Oh, I'll cross out faith and call it that then.
yep, there's the same stat, just because faith came off of spirit, right? Five. Okay. You do know what purple means. Purple means arcane and largely unnatural, whereas green means just of base nature, and then the other colors are representative of various magic elements. Purple means that almost artificial creation of magic. It's pulled directly from the overall energy in the world rather than through elemental force.
Question. In that case, what
Mhm.
color is Sage's magic now?
Purple.
Okay.
Except when you manipulate elements, you're manipulating the elemental magic. But when you do other things, it's purple.
Okay. So would Sage know that?
It depends on how
Having
much
been
stuff you
trained.
do. Depends on how much stuff Sage has done outside of her elemental manipulation and stuff like that, and how you have trapped her spells. If you have trapped her spells to focus on elementals, like if you're throwing a fire bolt, it's going to appear as fire.
Right.
And your elemental
So-
manipulation is always related to the element that you're manipulating.
But not my trainer. Gentry.
Gentry. Yeah, you would have seen purple magic at Gentry's for sure.
Okay, cool.
So it's not, to you, it's not an evil thing. The only reason it's concerning to Flora is because it's artificial and none of Flora's magic is.
Got it.
She's stable. Her heartbeat's stable and her breathing is stable, but she's still unconscious.
Should we try waking her up and see?
If you have any thoughts on how you wish to do that,
There's
Sage
picture
goes
of
over to Kenna. No, no punching. Just like tappa 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 tap 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 tap.
Enough.
sort of like a plot
Hello.
appropriate amount of modesty covering as well, with some kind
Yeah.
of like sheet or something, whatever was on hand.
Sections of crystallized blood.
Oh God!
For the camera, Sage is just standing in front.
Yeah.
Just
Don't.
Sage is the modesty.
Sage is short enough, right? Like
Sage
So
is the
just-
modesty covering.
Just
one of
as
those
like
implied
just
nudity
the thing,
scenes in
let's-
TV.
Let's not use Kraken blood as modesty coverings.
Oh, please no.
Feels
You'll
like
just-
a bad choice.
You'll just use Sage. The camera angle is such that
Yeah.
Sage is in front of everything.
Mhm.
And she sits up. What happened?
Well, we fought a Kraken, and then your leg turned into a weird new leg. It's nice. Sort of. Do you want us to cut it off?
Yes.
Okay. Sage.
I mean, you know where
Finds an
Kenna's-
axe.
Yeah, you know where
Yeah,
where Flora put Kenna's axe.
Sage grabs an axe. Are you ready?
Omthu puts a hand on.
And
Her
Kenna,
shoulder.
Kenna will look at Omthu. You know what you should have done. Now you know what you must do. You have to cut it off.
It's okay. I'll set
I'm
it on
not
fire
trying to
afterwards. It'll be
I'm
fine.
not trying to stop you, little one. I'm going to do it myself.
Oh, okay.
The axe is actually very heavy. To be
Sage has been trying.
Sage like dragged it across the whole of the ship. It's like
I mean, Sage has a D6 in strength. Not that weak, but still.
And-
Orc-sized axe,
Yeah.
4'10"
Yeah.
Sage.
it's like a
my
4
D10
foot
in
tall
strength
axe.
comes over you and just like
Oh,
Yeah, it's like a 4
Oh.
foot tall axe.
Sage is still willing to try.
yeah. Yeah, that's the thing. He's not here to go like, no, don't cut off her leg. It's just like, I don't want you just randomly swinging a heavy axe at my friend. Let me.
You need to. This is important. And she like grabs you, and she's like, "You'll need." And obviously, she doesn't know the powers of your companions, as technically neither do you. She's like, "You'll need something to cauterize it, because if the legends are correct, it will bleed black blood."
Well, I can make it burn. And then I will make it stop.
Well, that is handy.
Fire is for healing. So I will set you on fire. It's okay. Go.
Do it, Omthu.
So, yeah, with the bigger axe, I'd probably hand her my little hatchet. Yeah.
Bites down on the handle of the
Bites
hatchet.
down.
And her eyes
And
don't leave yours. She locks eyes with you and just watches
Yeah,
in the
he sort
most
of
orcish of
nods
orc
and then
ways.
just sort of, single nod and then chop the leg off.
Do you want to roll or do you want to spend a penny to just say you did it?
What would I be rolling?
Fighting.
I say as I cross off this Benny. Because I don't care if it's my best stat.
You'd be rolling fighting.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm just going to spend the Benny.
Okay. So, yep, you hit the sever. Sage, I need you to roll your fire healing spell.
Let's Benny
and
that.
Also, with without like splattering other people, it's going to like just toss the leg overboard.
4. Okay. Yep. As soon as you cut that leg, it is black blood immediately.
Yeah.
Which you realize means it would have started moving through the rest of her system as a thing, which is why you have to cut the leg off. Sage rolls the 4, and you see fire come out of Sage's hands. And Belmir and Flora, give me nose roll. We're rolling a lot of dice tonight. This is what happens when we don't play for 2 weeks. Belmir is really having a hard time paying attention to anything. He is not enjoying.
He's
being on
preoccupied because he can't swim and he's in the middle of the water. He's usually very good about noticing.
Oh wait,
things.
are you adding the penalty?
I just can't. I have the hindrance of can't swim, so it doesn't.
Okay, it's
not like I'm not in. It's not a phobia. I just am preoccupied by water, and
I'm good. I was like, oh man, that's amazing, but no, this is.
I had to use a Benny, so 6.
Sage's tattoo is glowing purple, and the fire is purple, but it cauterizes the wound and seals it off. And you watch as Olmthu tosses a leg, and you watch as the axe has blood start to crystallize along the blade, and she looks at you and nods. And
Toss that too.
Yep, axe goes over. And she's just gritting her teeth on the hatchet handle as she is cut and then burned and then healed as a thing. And she spits the axe out. Thank you. Can you get us home? I can guide us if you can row and set the sails and things like that.
You tell us what to do, and we'll get it done.
So after some plot-appropriate time that is longer than it would have been if, she had 2 legs and wasn't, in a lot of pain, you do manage to find yourself sailing into harbor. And you arrive with no more incident. You are escorted off of the ship. You're met by groups of orcs who are there. She is immediately taken to a shaman's tent, and you are left to your own devices. What would you like to do?
Sage.
Yes.
Look at your tattoo.
So for a slightly better description, the tattoo still has that kind of black outline. There's a thin layer of purple flames and then that white blade. And yours is the same as Flora's now.
It looks kind of
Belmir's
cool.
not, nor is Olmuther's.
Glance at my own, sort of like push back a sleeve. And,
Yeah, you two's are normal. That's that black and white.
yeah, given that I use my own abilities, it's like, okay, interesting.
Hello.
The flames.
Why are
flicker.
you? Whoa! Hello.
Yeah, it looks essentially like an animated GIF under your skin.
How did you make it do that?
I just said hello to it. You should talk to it and say hi.
I don't think I want to.
But it looks kind of cool. Hello, I'm Sage. Do you know who I am?
It glows bright and also hurts. It burns. under your skin.
Can you not do that?
It just continues to glow at you for a moment and then fades back to normal.
Oh, thank you. Are you just listening whenever I go now?
It doesn't respond.
I think it's gone.
Well, that is certainly very interesting, if not concerning as well.
Oh, it's kind of like Sosgemot. It's always there. But then sometimes it's not there. You just have to call it.
No one is calling her.
Belmir looks around very nervously. Don't say that name. Don't even think that name.
Yeah, it's just like, I'm not familiar, but your friends seem to be freaking out a little, so.
Although the name Sazgamoth, just when spoken, like gives just chills as a thing. Like it just generates that kind of like, that just doesn't sound like a good person.
I'm amused by the number of names that Omthru has recently heard that have also just given him an immediate, like, visceral reaction. And it's like, good.
If you were concerned about having made the right new friends, you're still somewhat concerned.
This is not affecting, that's not helping.
Nope. We're not in any way being like, I missed the boat on this. Like, definitely.
We saved the boat.
You did. It's
Yes.
pretty beat up. But you now find yourself in Stormkite Harbor.
So are all orcs very tall? Or are there like sage-sized orcs somewhere?
There are no sage-sized orcs save the children.
Are they playing?
They are not. You don't actually see any children at this moment. But
What time of day is it at the moment, actually?
I don't remember what time it was on the ship when you got attacked. As a thing.
I mean, we set up the signal flare, and it took the majority of that day for our
you
Uber
left
to arrive.
around sunset, so it's late in the evening at this point. You've rolled in probably 10, 11 at night.
Like, Omthu is, I guess, on the smaller scale of particularly large, if that makes sense. Like, he's definitely in the higher bracket of height-wise, but he's not. He's on.
But he's not as burly as some of the other.
He's
height-wise.
like he's like just tall enough to get into that sort of like to be considered particularly tall for an orc, but there are other orcs that are like Omthu still has to sort of.
So in the school photo, he is sort of in the back row, but like on one of the edges to balance out the
the people in the dead center. Yeah,
people in the dead center. Okay, got it.
Where I was always stuck. Yeah,
that was my spot.
I was one of the front kids, so yeah, good times.
But Omthu is also not as barely like just as a lot of the other orcs you're seeing.
Like, it's sort of like, compared to like most people, Omthul is just this massive unit of a person. And then compared to orcs, you're like, oh, you're the nerd of the group. Oh.
Yeah, like one of the people who came and like got and like helped bring Kenna to a shaman was like 7'2" and probably like 320 pounds of just like steel. You're also noticing that like actual full shirts are sort of not a commodity on Stormkite Bay. They're mostly just in harnesses and like very loose fitting shifts kind of things. lots of bare arms, and it is like, does everybody do curls like is like part of existing? Is that what goes on here? But anyway, so what would you guys like to do now that you stand in the harbor? Like,
Is
Kenna
there
has
like
been taken off to the shaman, and you are sort of on the dock. There are other non-orcs here, but not very many.
is there like a specific place that like I guess the equivalent of like an inn, like where guests would stay? Or is it more
Not
sort of
not
like,
really. There's not a lot of guests here.
Yeah.
You're very much you're not xenophobic, but you're very much, you know, unless somebody is part of a crew, they aren't here unless they're orcs, right? Unless they're part of the tribe. And you are very tribe centric. So you've seen maybe like 3 to 5 other non-orcs here, and they all clearly have that, you know, buccaneers sort of bearing to them. Because that is the interesting thing about Stormkite orcs, is these are definitely on the swashbucklier side of orcs. Less barbarian, more Viking meets pirate.
Actually, yeah, I do like the idea of Viking swashbucklers.
They were already dangerous enough. You don't want to add in
Like-
rope swinging and chandelier jumping, right? That seems dangerous.
Why does that 7-foot linebacker have a swagger to him?
Comes with being 7 feet tall, I imagine. All right. So, what do you want to do?
I would assume you will need a place to rest. In the morning, we can see what we can do about arranging transport.
And it wouldn't be very hard to acquire like tents and set them up outside of the village.
If there's sand, Sage will just sleep on it. Just curl up.
There's lots of sand. All
Mm.
white sand, but there is lots of sand.
Ooh. Sage will sort of. I have burrow. I'll just use some burrow. I'll use burrow and just dig myself a little.
Okay. Give me a roll.
Five.
Okay. You hold out your hands and you watch as kind of these just purple beams just sort of move sand around to the point that there's essentially a snow cave in sand. It's not the kind of thing anybody sane would do, given how much, sand moves.
I was more thinking like just to hollow out an area that's sort of sage shaped so that they can
It's like a trench.
Yeah.
Still seems horribly unstable, but sure, we'll go with that.
Not with big sides, just like where turtle eggs would be, like a little pit.
Okay. I like that description. I like the idea that these are just like purple turtle arms, just like moving dirt.
I kind of have this image of like just like with one beam compacting it down, and then she sort of lies down with another beam. She just pulls up a sheet over her.
This really thin, strangely thin layer of sand, and you're like, all right. So Sage has taken up residence. It's very clear Sage does not have a strong understanding of the tide, but that's fine.
So, Omthu, are there like inns or people who will let out space in their tents? I mean, Sage looks comfy, but I don't want all that sand in it. It gets everywhere.
We do not get a lot of visitors that do not have a ship of their own to sleep in, but I will find you some tents and bedding.
That would be much appreciated.
You probably have a hut. You might share it with some other orcs, but you probably live in something. Arguably.
He's not gonna let these weird people he's just met sleep in his hut. I mean, why would he do that?
I assume I was imagining like the family unit generally stays together for a while.
Yeah, it's a lot like it's a lot like Viking longhouses.
Yeah. So you sort of just like, you know, you have multiple generations in the same building.
But you could probably find some poles to string hammocks between.
Yeah.
Because that's generally what you sleep in is hammocks as a thing.
Yeah, he sort of just heads home and just collects what he needs and then comes back and provides it.
Yep. So he comes back and helps you guys string up some hammocks between some like dock arms. The posts at the dock, and warns you what time high tide is likely to come in, so you should probably be up before then.
What?
Explains high tide.
Why is it going to come back?
Sage possibly reconsiders the idea to sleep in the sand. Maybe gets in the provided hammock.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Points to the third hammock.
It's moving.
Yes, the tides move in and out over the course of the day.
I meant that thing to sleep in.
Yes, slightly.
I imagine Belmere, being Belmere, has already like crawled into his hammock and just like.
It helps on ships that to accommodate for the movement of the ship itself. On land, yes, the amount of movement depends on you.
So if I stay still, it won't move?
Depending on the wind, but yeah, largely. Just think of it like gently being rocked to sleep, says the voice in the sky.
Hammocks can be fun, Sage. Try something new. As Flora climbs in hers.
I will listen to you both, voice in the sky and Flora.
I'll also like points like roughly where high tide usually gets to, and it's just like also anything back from that, should you wish.
I will try the hammock.
Okay. You all sleep very well. It is pleasantly warm, balmy, I believe is the word. Just a gentle, light breeze. Hammocks are generally actually fairly comfortable as a thing. There's a reason why civilizations across the world still use them. You're pretty groovy when you wake up in the morning. Then you return from your lodge, Olmthu, to find these three strangers, in there, sleeping in those hammocks.
I imagine I've sort of informed the correct people and not just sort of like trying to hide three people. It's just like, here's what happened. This is the situation. He's not trying to,
you told a watchman.
Yeah.
The watch was informed.
Description of the events and happenings and sort of made sure everyone was up on the situation. Who would be the person to talk to about like if we need to essentially hire a ship or like organize?
You would know some people. The people vary, right? So there are people like Kenna who specialize in those short, in those skiffs, and they do the short distance raids, and they do more of the patrols around the area. Then you definitely have people who sail the bigger vessels.
Would it be a matter of talking to like the individual captain, or do you talk to sort of like...
You just essentially have to find someone which
so
will just say someone.
Yeah. But my question, it's more like there's not like someone who organizes and sends out the captains. You just talk to the captain.
Yeah,
has
you just
like
talk
the
to the captain.
purview.
There's a lot of autonomy in unless you are hiring a storm kite, right? Like if you're actually hiring the organization, the elite guard kind of thing. For the most part, you're just hiring a business person.
Oh, like
yeah, like if you're hiring a storm sworn.
Yeah, there was a thing. It was important.
Yeah, if you were trying to get a storm sworn crew to take you somewhere, you ain't got the pull for that. But in order to just hire a captain, you're just gonna need some cash, and you're gonna need to find somebody who's headed east.
Would I be able to? Allowed to, or check on Kenna before I? Yeah. In the morning.
You can go check. You know what shaman she was taken to, and you can go check.
How does she seem to be going?
So you head up to. Do you go get the other three first, or do you go check on Kenna by yourself?
I think I check on Kenna first.
Okay. So you go to Grishna's tent, who is the shaman. You go to that lodge. There is a large, it's called the Spirit Speaker Lodge. Has a lot of, carved wooden edifices of various animals and elements and stuff like that. And it's just where shamans live as a thing. Like once you show aptitude for being a shaman and you choose that path, because despite aptitude, orcs let you decide what you do, right? And so you have to choose to wish to be a shaman. And that means there are bad shamans, right? Like people can decide, I want to be a shaman, even though they really suck at it and probably should have not been a shaman. You have bad shamans.
I imagine I was asked at one point, but what I do is different.
Yeah.
Like it's not, he certainly didn't learn it from being a shaman.
Yep. So you were escorted to shamans. And there's shamans and there's Loa speakers. They're two very different things. They both exist here, but the shamans is where they were taken. The shamans deal with the elements. Loa speakers deal with spirits. And you are brought to Grishna. And Grishna looks at you. I'm not sure how you did it, but she should be dead. I can't.
Well, you know me. Not one to do things the usual way.
You took a grave risk.
I know.
There's still a chance that it will continue. We have to monitor, but we haven't seen any new growth. We have her in quarantine for the time being.
Well, I trust in your judgment in the situation as it progresses.
What was used to cauterize? I don't recognize the...
I met some interesting people. They have been having the same dream that I have been. Exactly the same dream. When we were on the ship, one of them, the elf, used healing magics to attempt to purge her system of poison. It seemed to arrest the spread, but we were not fast enough to save the leg. The leg was transformed. After we removed it, the one called Sage seems to have healing fire that she used to both.
The shaman is drastically concerned by the statement of healing fire. Like, that is not the natural use of elemental fire as far as...
I'm just sort of like, I know, right? But despite it healed her and cauterized the wound at the same time.
You made interesting friends.
So it seems. I believe it is. I do not doubt this is the least of the interesting things I am about to discover.
Before you go, Moknar wants to speak with you. And you know Loknar is a Loa speaker. And speaks for Karn, which is a Loa of fate. It's kind of a fortune teller around the island.
I will go see. Is it him or her?
Moknar is a him.
I will go see him immediately.
You are to bring your friends. We didn't know who it was, but he said that when Omthru arrived with 3 strangers, Omthru is to visit.
Well, that is interesting, isn't it? I should go get them.
Yes.
Well,
I will tell Kenna that you stopped by.
thank you. May the sea carry you and the sky watch over you, my friend.
You as well.
And I will go find my new interesting friends.
Okay. You arrive to your interesting friends. Nobody has managed to get highly tangled up in their hammock, which for first-time hammock sleepers is actually impressive as a thing. But they have gotten their hammocks down. Someone from your lodge actually arrived to collect things, probably per some level of instruction, given that they were lent temporarily. And you arrive to find your 3 friends sort of milling around, waiting for you.
How did you sleep?
Fine, I was pointing out to Sage where her trench was, where the water is now.
Oh yeah, it's totally underwater now.
Idea. Where the water comes back and then it goes away again. We should have gone back to the very beginning so I could find out.
Nature? Emios?
You should ask. You are nature.
I'm not nature incarnate.
Not yet.
I don't
But
think
you have a
that's-
bag full of it. Wait, if you open your bag and you look in and there's water, if you leave your bag open long enough, does the water come in? Like, does it overflow the bag?
I've never made water in my bag. It's more connected to the seasons. So frozen
But
water,
there's-
snowflakes.
But there is a rainy season. It rains. So if you just leave your bag open, does it just come in and then go away?
I think what Chantel's trying to get you to do is experiment with your bag, Sarah. That's what
Yes.
Chantel wants you to do.
Yes.
It's like, does your bag contain current?
Does your bag rain? That's what I want to know.
I haven't checked
Could you create a
to see
riptide?
if my bag rains or contains a small ocean.
Are you
Can we
going
s-
to check your bag for something?
I guess I will open it just
What-
because now I'm curious to see is there
okay.
rain?
Are you actively thinking of a season?
Well, since Chantel mentioned I'm probably thinking of spring because that seems to be the rainiest time for where
As
Flores
you
used
open
to
your
be.
bag, you just hear kind of delicate like, and as you sort of tip it over, you just see small little drips of rain and just tiny cracks of lightning. And there's just a storm in your bag.
What?
I've never tried that before. That's interesting. She closes it back up, attaches it back to her belt.
What? You are nature.
No.
Belmer says, "Look, check your tattoo."
Tattoo looks the same.
Does not appear to be connected to the magic of the bag. Thank you, Belmer. That's good to know. So, Omthu, about breakfast.
Yes. We will find things to eat. But first, I have been asked to bring you to Mokna, one of the speakers of the law. Apparently, your arrival was foretold.
Everyone always seems to know where we're going.
Except for us.
Yes.
I don't need to know where I'm going. I just need to know where I've been. Lightning McQueen said that in Cars. So did Mater. He said it first.
But Flora's not equipped with a rear view mirror.
Neither was Lightning McQueen.
And here comes Disney to take all your revenue.
Alrighty. So you guys head off to meet Moknar? All right.
Yes.
So this island is very Hawaiian Island-esque, so in the big mountainous kind of islands. So you progress up, and Moknar's hut is up in kind of the misty portions of some of these hills and mountains. Moknar is interesting. A lot of the lowest speakers that are older do live alone in isolation, and he does. But you find his hut. It is a modest kind of small hut made out of wood and palm leaves and those kind of things. And you find that he is sitting on his stoop, waiting for you, poking at the remnants of a cooking fire. Certain longhouses, like the one that you live in, Omthu, have those big, massive Viking fire pit fires inside. This one is just a small individual. It looks like, it's the studio apartment equivalent, right? So it's just the one room.
Short house.
Yeah, it's very much a short house, and he is just poking at the fire. Moknar is blind as a thing. Was born blind. Eyes are that milky white. Unlike a lot of blind people in this era, and in this world who bind things around their eyes, he does not. He keeps his eyes totally visible. And as you are approaching, he looks up. I suspected you would be here soon. I have set breakfast over there. And he points with the stick, and you see it is, there's fish and the orcish equivalent of coffee and those kind of things.
What does the orcish equivalent of coffee taste like, though?
It is very earthy. It has, kind of those fruity notes. It's brewed from a very harsh berry, the same way coffee is, kind of a berry. It is brewed from a harsh, thick berry. It has a deep kind of amber golden color to it. And it almost has like that, if you've ever had really, really good honey that isn't heavily processed, you know how you can get those very nuanced floral and fruit flavors depending upon what was pollinated with it. It has a very honeyed kind of texture. It's very thick like honey is, and a very honeyed kind of flavor to it as well, where you can tell that it has numerous things in it. And the orcs literally just call it morning drink is all it is called, and it is brewed from the morning berry, so it doesn't really have a name. But
Thank you. This is good.
it is quite good, and it actually makes you feel really quite good as well. Like, it doesn't have, I know there are people who believe that coffee makes you live in the morning. I know Chantel is one of them, but no, teasing Chantel.
No, it just tastes good.
Yeah. It has those, it's definitely got herbal qualities in it. Like, it's not just the berry, like it's brewed with other herbs, and so you feel, and Flora, because of your cooking background, you're able to pick out, some of those, like the ginseng and those kind of things in it that are the energizers.
Also, when she noticed he was blind, she very carefully checked out his ears.
What are you looking for?
Oh, they have met a blind person whose ears were sewn closed.
No,
It's stuck in her brain.
Nah, his are fine.
Okay.
Yeah, his are fine. And he, kind of waits as you all eat, and he hasn't really moved. He's indicated with his stick, but he hasn't really moved. And then he extends his two hands out in very like, come shake my hand kind of thing to Olmuthu.
Yeah, I head over.
It's good to be in your presence again, my boy. It's been many years.
Yes. It is good to see you as well.
You are troubled by dreams, as are your friends.
Yes.
You tell me of them.
We see black sand. We see a table with a feast. Many people seated around. People I initially could not see features of. But upon meeting these three, well, I now see them amongst the group. And at the head of the table is a large mirror that shatters as a storm suddenly rises, shatters 6 pieces. And when we try to pick up the pieces, we are cut by it. And when we wake, the feeling of the cuts remains.
And he
And
Good.
after after I had met them when the four of us were together, when we woke, we had markings on our arm, a sword wreathed in flame that now seems to react to certain kinds of magics.
He takes his stick and begins to trace in the sand. And within a couple minutes, he traces out a very basic outline of the sword that is on your tattoo. Is this what you bear?
Yes.
They are woven into this world. I know not of their origin or who they are, but they seek to be a player in the fate of Emios. I see others, symbols I cannot recognize, symbols I cannot see clearly, swirling in the shadow. Whatever part these blades play, they play on a board with many others as well. And for one reason or another, the four of you have been deemed important to them. Would you wish to know more of this?
Yes.
This dream?
I would seek to understand.
Understanding is not always what Khan offers, but perhaps clarity. He looks to you, Omthu. In my hut, boy, bring the 3 vials on the upper shelf and gather 6 of the white berries and 11 of the black and bring them to the pot.
Yeah, I do so.
Okay. You bring it out and he beckons to Flora. You are skilled in the culinary arts of your people, yes?
Yes.
Would you assist Omthu in preparing this beverage?
All right.
And following his instructions, the two of you managed to brew a very thick kind of and thick as in like full-bodied, like mouthfeel rather than actually viscous. But it definitely, like if you've had really good wassail, it has that very firm, heavy mouthfeel. And that's essentially what you have brewed. And it has this odd effervescence to it. That you can just like, when you crack open something that is very fizzy and you like lift it, you get those tingles that hit your nose just from the effervescence. Like just standing near the pot, you're getting those kind of tingles. And it has that deep kind of color of like, like a cola would have, that thing. And he looks to all of you. There are ladles There, and he points to a table. Those who wish to see must drink.
I'll head over and grab one.
Deal. Belmir grabs one.
Okay.
What are we going to see?
I don't know. Whatever Karn chooses to show you.
Who is Karn?
Karn is my Loa.
What is a Loa?
Loas are spirits of this world, interwoven with its very existence. Karn is related to fate. Others are related to death, life, knowledge. There is debate between us and shamans whether the magics that they tap are indeed Loas. I believe them to be.
Are they good?
Good and evil have no bearing upon the eternal spirits of this world. They simply are. We cannot command them. We simply beseech them.
As long as it's not Sosgamoth. Sage goes and gets a ladle.
That is not a name that I have heard outside of my dreams.
Oh. You know her?
No. But I have heard the name.
I like
Whispered
this.
on my dreams and on the umbral tides within for half a decade now.
Oh, I don't know if I like this anymore.
Stop saying her name.
You promised me you'd never say that name. What name? Humperdinck?
Welcome to Sage.
Sazgamoth? Sazgamoth. 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 Sazgamoth.
Sosgamoth. Sage
Okay.
grabs a ladle.
Flora's gonna grab a ladle, but she's gonna watch Belmir drink it first.
Okay.
And see what happens before she tries it.
All right, so you all dip your ladle. There is exactly enough to fill each ladle, and you watch as Omthu, I'm imagining, with very little in the way of hesitation, and Belmir probably similarly, Sage's curiosity probably takes over and goes for it. And you watch as they all just kind of like go stiff as cardboard, and their eyes just kind of roll back in their head, and their eyelids start to flutter.
And she'll check their pulse really quick.
They're fine.
She was curious once. It went poorly. She's a little more cautious
rapid.
now.
It's rapid.
Okay,
And
chill.
yeah, and Moknar you see that Moknar is looking right at you. You are missing what is being shown. And you, Flora, are going to take your headphones off for the first 15, 20 seconds of what you see. And I'll pull you back in.
I'm cool with that. I think it fits.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. Yeah, it's just, that's the way it is.
Turns out Loa work on cinema rules.
You're all viewing the same thing. You find yourself standing in an open air pavilion. You've been here before. Most nights in recent memory, you've been here. You stare out across the waves of a vermilion and pink colored ocean. much at either sunrise or sunset. It is a beautiful, beautiful sight as those waves beat across the black sands. The ocean sparkles as though it were just a blanket of diamonds trapped within azure fabric. You are standing there and you see the plethora of banquet tables, and you are all seated at one, and you look and you recognize each other, though Flora is vacant-eyed and strangely non-present in that moment. Seated at your table is a strange, wispy figure built out of what seems like almost like mercury, like, liquid mercury kind of mist, just this very silvery, not quite gaseous, not quite solid, not quite liquid form. And you don't know how you know, but you know that this is Karn. And in that very, Ghost of Christmas Past kind of way, he just points, and your gaze is directed in places. You see faces that are blank slates, things you don't recognize. But at that center table, you see that mirror. You're able to get a clearer view of the frame of that mirror. Strangely carved out of brass or slightly tarnished gold. And it has carvings of a large elephant head. Although you don't necessarily know what an elephant is, you just recognize, for sake of description, it's an elephant head, but your players don't know, your characters don't know what an elephant is. It bears a strong resemblance to long serpentine dragons flowing down the rest of the frame. The mirror is that polished silvery glass. At the base of that mirror is arguably the most frightening thing, because it is the face of Sazgama. You watch as the winds and the quake that always happens begins. The table shakes and the mirror tumbles. It shatters into those same 6 pieces. The frame tumbling away into dust, leaving just those 6 pieces of silvery glass on the table. In the distance, you hear roars. Roars of people, roars of beasts. You glance up for the first time, not ripped from this dream in that moment. The pavilion on one side leads to ocean. Beyond, on the other side, however, is dense, lush jungle, unlike anything you've ever experienced anywhere else. Your vision is pulled very quickly through that jungle. You find yourself pulled through winding pathways. The images are incredibly jumbled and rapid, hard to keep track of. You see strange figures of tall, almost lion-like qualities. Individuals that seem as though they are centaurs with lion bodies instead of those of horses. You are wrenched high into the sky and see that this jungle covers the entire island, which you hover above. And then you see the fire starting in one corner of the island, almost bubbling up to sweep across. And as you feel yourself beginning to fade away, you hear a laugh. A laugh that is familiar to one of you. A laugh you heard your former mistress give numerous times, Belmir. You hear Sazgamoth wickedly cackling as you find yourself once more seated around the fire at Muknar's hut. I need everybody really quickly to give me a spirit roll. And Olmthu, you get a +2 bonus on this roll.
And 8.
Oh,
Does this have anything to do with fear?
Nope.
12.
3.
Okay. Olmthu and Flora, please keep your headphones on. Sage and Belmir, remove yours. As you are pulled back through the vision, you hear behind you the vanish of Sage. You no longer feel Sage's presence. You no longer feel Belmir's. It's just the two of you. And before you fade back into Mok'Thar's reality, that fire, as you glance up above it, you see falling stars plummeting into the jungle. And you would assume that is potentially what's causing the flame. But as your eyes are pulled up toward where those stars fall, you see one of the twin moons of Emios looming incredibly large in the sky, larger than you've ever seen it, growing larger with each passing moment, as though being dragged down toward the earth. And you awaken, pulled back into reality outside of the fire near Mok'Nar's hut. Belmir and Sage, you kind of come to and you look around and you see that Olmthu and Flora are still, stiff as boards, eyes kind of vacant. And that lasts for about 3 to 5 seconds longer as you sort of get your faculties back. And then their eyes kind of blink and they return to reality. And Mok'Nar holds out a hand. What you saw is for you. I was not gifted this vision. My task is complete. And he looks, and you see him tilt his head as though listening. And he nods. And he stands and he moves to Olmthu. And he reaches in he's wearing kind of a black vest. He reaches into the vest pocket and he produces a piece of parchment that's been sealed. And he hands it to Olmthu. Please take this to the Speaker's Lodge back at the harbor.
Who is it?
They will know, and they will send my replacement. And he will bury me.
Replacement?
My task is at an end.
oh no, don't do it. Don't do it.
And he looks at you. What is it I'm not doing, child?
You're not allowed to die.
My purpose has been fulfilled.
No, that doesn't mean you die now.
And he
People keep doing that. Don't do it.
I must. My life has been spent in the service of Karn, and he calls me home to reveal all mysteries to me. And someday, another Loa speaker will speak for Moknar. But what I need to learn for that to happen, I cannot learn here.
Do not think of it as death, Sage. It is a new beginning.
You know
A
of
new journey.
plants, yes, my dear.
Of what?
Of plants, of
Yes.
flowers.
Yes.
When I was born, I was but a seed, and I have grown into a stalk. Now I have the chance to blossom and bloom and become what I was always meant to be.
That is better than turning into dust.
I do not believe I will turn into dust.
Okay.
Fear not, little mother. And he turns and begins to just hobble back into his hut.
Sage runs and gives him a hug. And then, leaves.
All right, you rush quickly toward the blind man as he climbs upstairs. He startles slightly.
He's known everything before it's happened now.
And yet he just told you his task is at an end and his vision has begun to fade.
Have you met Sage?
Yes. So he startles. Fear not, little mother. This was always the purpose. And I've known since Omthu began to dream that my transition was coming. I'm not afraid. I am proud of what I have done. Go.
Okay.
And he very gently disentangles himself from Sage and moves his way into the hut. And you are left as the fire outside of Moknar's hut dies away.
It's okay, Sage. Come on.
It's like a moment, like there's a sort of moment where Omthu is still just sort of looking at the hut, for sort of kind of nodding to himself and. Well, I guess we need to make a stop at the Spirit Lodge.
It is luckily on the way home. Okay. Any discussion you want to have as you hike the probably hour back to...
Omthu, is this spirit lodge full of other very old people whose purposes in life we may somehow fulfill? This seems to happen to us.
No, the Spirit Lodge is where the young students live.
Yeah. And the Spirit Lodge is the shamans more than the speakers.
And the speaker, you're headed to the Speaker's Lodge.
Oh,
Wait,
speakers
are we
lodge,
going
sorry.
Are we going to like a student house?
Yeah. You're essentially going to the dormitory for aspiring Loa speakers.
That's so cool. If they're not playing cool music, I don't know what's up.
It's got a frat
There's
house
probably
vibe.
there's probably clouds of stuff, like most frat houses will have, but
These clouds crackle with energy.
you hear weird whispers. Or at least the people there claim to.
Flora hears whispers on the wind.
Just don't be a leaf on.
In.
Okay. Anything else you want to talk about?
So I was right. It is Sosgemoth.
Yes, apparently it is. Which does not bode well for me, but maybe she doesn't remember.
I think she remembers everything and she sees everything. Hello, are you Sosgemoth?
It's not very comforting.
Are you the dagger of Sosgemoth?
As her former herald, you definitely know that Dagger of Sosgemoth is not a thing. It's definitely not a Sosgemoth symbol.
It's not related to her.
Like, it's like, swords. Wait. Oh no!
Wait, if we look at the
Is it a Medusa head at a different angle?
Is it Alistair's head at a different angle though?
No.
Okay,
Magic eye. You sort of just put it really close and you sort of move it.
Oh dear.
Does oh dang it! Now the word has just left my head. Sage.
Yes.
The island that we saw, does that look like Veakaris?
No.
Okay.
Veakaris isn't not that many trees.
Love that pictures. Okay.
Well, Veakaris is very Grecian. It's very much like a very Greece kind of civilization. Greece and ancient Rome.
So we know we didn't see that.
Would we know that any of the other options are heavily jungled?
You're able to, by process of elimination, eliminate down to Stau Trana because it's the only one you don't really know anything about.
The other three aren't.
Yeah, the other three are definitely not heavily jungled.
So it must be the place we don't know. Okay.
Stau Trana was also like the furthest one as well, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it's like the other side of the world-ish kind of one.
I love boats.
Let us go on a long journey.
Yeah, if you pull up your Discord and look at the map, you're in that middle. You're like, actually, you've gone southwest, so you're like a direct south from the second from the left finger of the Anathi Emirates. You need to get to the Empire of Stau Trana.
Do we go by the bottom or do we go by the top? Either way, we go by boat.
I mean, let's face it, most routes that will get you there will probably take you through the Six Isles and around the hook of Veakaris. Like, the chances of sailing along the southern pole seems remote.
There's no direct
yeah, there's no airline.
paths. There's no airline.
There is no magic thing that will transport us from point A to point B.
No, you sealed all of those. That's
Learn
how we got
to
here.
Fly.
Yeah.
There is nothing like that can happen. We're all fine.
Defined.
Or maybe
with
we
an
go and
air.
No,
open the.
we're not
Sage is
opening
open.
anything.
Sage is like, can we just find a gate? Like, can we
Just
just...
find a gate. It's faster and everyone's happy.
I mean, you're definitely like
I will not be happy.
Speaking because the thing about Trana to the future people, Trana didn't exist.
Correct.
Like, it was one of the lost continents.
Yes, Sage.
So we've sort of done like, okay, by process of elimination, it's definitely Atlantis.
I found
And
it.
everyone's all gone. I'm sorry.
I mean,
found it.
Belmir, you can give me a history roll.
I found it. I did it.
See what you remember about Trana and legend.
There's only one to go.
10
Okay.
on research.
The Empire of Trana was an ancient civilization met with massive cataclysm caused by magical experimentation and overreach. Legend says they consorted with beings of great power, not limited to, but including dragons. Through these associations, they branched further into magics that were forbidden and beyond their control. It caused an upheaval which shattered the continent into a cluster of islands. The empire recovered and continued for a while as an island nation. Then came the collapse, where the foundations of those islands crumbled away, eaten by the magics, and they disappeared into the waves. Your memory tells you something. You remember there was an event written about very vaguely called the Joining, but you don't know anything about it beyond that it is mentioned.
Would I have any like contemporary knowledge?
Yeah,
of Trana?
Trana totally exists.
Yeah.
It is a thing. It's one big continent. Not many people know about it. It's definitely that, like, if you think of period movies where, like, if you think of like what, Kipling's The Jungle Book, where India was that continent that was far away, or how Africa was far away and considered dangerous and forbidden, kind of a thing. Like, that's what the vibe of Trana is. People don't go there and then come back very often. It's actually, it's called the Empire of Trana, but they don't really interact with outsiders. Like, they have almost a xenophobic kind of mythos to them. And the only people go there are the same kind of people who go to Ascarathos. They're the crazy adventure-y types who you don't necessarily see as often. And in reality, more people come back from Ascarathos than come back from Trana.
I'm sure it'll be fine.
Do you still want to be our friend?
We have to go. It was lost and now we have found it.
We didn't find it. It technically isn't lost.
It was never lost in the first place here.
No, but I found it.
Because, man, let me tell you, that was some fun lore to go dig up.
See? The voice in the sky said we had to find it. Onthu, you have to come with us and see the place that no one else has seen.
Literally,
Also-
no one in the history of any MEOS campaigns run by Eric in 25 years have ever ventured to Trana.
Have to go.
Also, how can you say no to
Apologize.
dragons? I mean, one of them tried to eat me once, but I'm pretty sure the rest are probably friendly and very awesome.
Belmir's like, I'm sorry, you want to run that by me again? Given that in Belmir's timeline, all dragons were extinct a long time ago, before Flora supposedly existed.
Are we going to have another argument about how things don't exist?
Oh, I'll just leave again.
It tried to eat me. I'm pretty sure I know what exists.
Obthu's just like leaning against a palm tree, like listening to this whole conversation.
I do like, yeah, and every now and again it's like, but you have to come. And he's like, I'm
Also-
not sure what I have done to give you the impression that I do not want to go.
There, see? Good.
Good.
Also, when it comes to, Renera existing, I told you so.
Yeah, I know.
Pour one out for
Out
Cobalt.
of curiosity,
Mhm.
have you did Belmere sort of mention any of the stuff about what he knew about Steltrana?
That doesn't sound like Belmere at all.
Okay, then never mind.
I don't
Didn't
know.
write it
but-
down.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like Belmere to me, but Belmere's one of those people who goes, "Ah, yes, I have this recollection," and then he sort of goes.
Belmere's one of those
Yeah, I don't know.
one of those people that forgets that everyone heard the same thing, and so mentally, the person behind Belmere doesn't need to relay that information.
Does the Scrubs thing where they joke about how he just sort of looks off into the distance for a bit and then comes back, says something weird, and then just he's like, "No," just I don't know what just happened, but
Yeah, or the
glad
IT
he
crowd
enjoyed it.
where
Yeah.
the IT crowd where everybody's leaning in front of. Yeah, that's what goes on with Belmere, I think.
mentioned that it was lost.
Yes.
Do you know how?
As
Hatimari
far
never
as-
told us.
As far as we know, in the last Great War that covered the world, it vanished.
Oh no, Steltrana's been gone long before that.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Like
I take
all of
back
the
my
writings
10
you've
that I rolled.
Well, I mean, the 10's how you knew anything,
I
but
know.
it's been missing since before the before the first war.
I'll sort of glances at Flora.
No idea how I knew any of it to begin with then.
Because you rolled a 10 and not all history disappears, just most history disappears.
Okay.
It's myth and legend. That's why you have no idea beyond anything else.
All right, voice in the sky, you win.
Good.
Yeah, I'll sort of glances at Flora, and he's like, I feel like if something was going to make an entire continent disappear, hitting it with a moon seems to be a step in that direction.
I did have that thought. Do we want to be there when the moon crashes into the island?
I would imagine the plan is to stop that happening in the first place.
Would be kind of
Stop
pretty though.
This.
I'm sorry, what?
What?
Oh, I apologize. You did not see that part. Before you were pulled from the vision, we saw falling stars impacting the island, likely causing that fire. But above that, still, one of the moon. Do the moons have names, and which one?
They do have names. I don't remember which of them was.
The plot appropriate moon.
Yeah. I don't I
Was-
haven't found my moon names. Because that's the other
Fitting.
thing is in the time period where Frito and Sarah and Chantel's characters come from, there was only one moon. Not two.
You-
We found a moon too.
Interesting.
All side effects of
Uh,
wishes.
Wish magic. One of the moons was getting bigger. Closer would be a better word to use, as if being drawn towards the continent.
I missed the beginning of the vision, but do you have more experience with these kind of visions. Do we know whether this is a vision of the future or something that is currently happening?
I would not call myself experienced in visions, but my understanding is it is what we needed to see.
Because if it's something that could happen in the future, I'm only mildly concerned that we might be the ones that cause it to happen. Just throwing it out there as an idea.
No need for us to go to Trana. So it can't have happened yet.
I feel like if a moon had impacted somewhere, there would be further reaching effects.
And also not two of them in the sky all night last night.
That too.
Oh. And it might not have done something to the water, and the water wouldn't come in and then go out, and then come in and then go out. That's what you said.
Yes. You saw it as well. Tides have been a thing forever.
I don't watch them. The water does the water's thing. I do my thing.
We are a seafaring people. We pay attention to it.
Though, talking about your people, are we going to be able to hire a boat all the way to Trana, or are we going to have to island hop?
That one.
Yes. Stau Trana, that is quite the journey, and they will take us. It was Vericaris that they were like, we could get to there. Or was it the
Yeah,
other
they can get
one?
to like the western coast of Vericaris. Maybe. For the most part, you're probably looking at getting moved to the Six Isles and needing to
Yeah, that's
find
the one.
transport to Vericaris.
Yeah,
Because
likely
nobody on the
we-
Six Isles is going to go there either. You're probably looking at a hop. You got 2 layovers. That's all.
Most people. It will
Don't go
be
there?
Potential. No one goes there. Well, no one goes there and comes back, usually. There are rumors of people who have, but again, rumors. We will need to get as close as possible and find someone then who will maybe take us the rest of the way. But we would not find anyone here who will take us the full journey. They will take
Okay.
us to Alohi or Vericaris if we are fortunate.
Maybe they find it so lovely there they just don't want to come back. Another question, how common are Krakens? That was an unpleasant experience.
Common enough that we have plans in place for what happens if you get covered in their blood.
I don't like your plans. We need a backup plan.
Well, it turns out that there are other options to killing someone. I appreciate knowing that. Hopefully, others will remember that too.
How is
as
I
an
was just-
insertion really quickly so you can put it in your notes. The moon being called down in your vision was Damia, Domia, and it is the larger of the two moons. Anyway, we can go back to what you were asking, Sarah.
How is Kenna doing?
Stable for now. They are watching her, but I have hope that she will be okay. I think managed to save her. And I thank you. It is the first time that has happened. So I am glad you were there. But let us get to the speaker lodge. They need to be informed, and then we can see about finding a captain.
Okay. You make your way to the speaker lodge and deliver your letter. And that really is all it is. Like, you're not really allowed inside. It's a very secretive place. And your letter is delivered. They take it. They recognize what it is immediately. Mochnar's steel is, proprietary kind of thing, so they know exactly who it's from, and the kind of parchment it's put on identifies it as what it was. Not necessarily retcon, but like backtrack knowledge. Like Olmthu knew what it was when he was given it, as a thing, culturally speaking. And you're graciously thanked for it, and you are allowed to make your way down to the docks. You spend the better part of the afternoon/evening looking for a captain who will take you to Vehikaris. Right now, it's very difficult to locate one. And you are frequenting some of the bars and the restaurants and the pubs and things like that that exist to find one. When it's a lot of the time of year it's heavy fishing season. It's also heavy raiding season. So sending people out on long voyages is not the best of ideas, since essentially they're losing out on a lot more revenue. And as all seeming chance of locating a captain is disappearing, you hear a voice as you're kind of all sitting there sort of dejected late into the evening, getting ready to possibly have to go get in hammocks again. You hear a voice, and it's one you all recognize. And you hear kind of this thunk, thunk, thunk of a peg leg upon the wood. And you hear Kenna speak. I hear you're looking for some crazy enough captain to get you to Vehikaris.
Yes, thank you.
I don't think I can get you quite that far, but I can gather up some people who owe me some favors. And for a decent sum, because they're not going to get to raid this season, I can get you to the Six Isles.
I've got the money covered because I still have my sack of gold. precious stones, whatever.
Holmthu gets up and goes over to Kenna. I don't know. Do you think you're up to it?
Let's put it this way. Until I prove on a voyage that I'm not going to turn, they won't let me stay here.
Holmthu was just trying to like good-naturedly tease her, and now he just feels sad.
He's like, oh
He's
man,
like,
I'm
oh,
such a jerk.
that's a fair point. Yeah, okay.
There's enough people who believe in me that I can crew us a ship, but I can only get you to the 6 Isles because I can't get one big enough. And I'm going to essentially have to buy one since the skiff's not going to do it.
Then I guess we're going to the 6 Isles.
And she nods and she turns and looks to Belmere. I'm going to need that cash up front.
That's only fair.
And as she you sit there and you start unloading, you unload probably 2/3 of what you've got left. And she looks
Expected.
to you all and nods and says, I'll get us a ship. We leave in the morning. But you can all sleep aboard it tonight unless you want to spend another night hanging in hammocks above the tide. It's up to you.
Boat sounds fine.
You said hammocks were on boats. Can I have the hammock on the boat?
You will definitely have a hammock on the boat.
Then I will sleep on the boat in a hammock.
So she leaves. Another couple of hours pass. Olmthu, you can go and essentially let anybody that you want to know you're leaving know.
How does the tribe deal with like burials and things? Is there like a place, like a graveyard, or like a place where people are remembered? Or
Yeah, I mean, it would definitely be kind of family specific. So like if you're going to visit your brother's grave, like it would be on your family's plot essentially, right? So you have a orcs in this world, especially the Stormkite tribe, are an interesting combination of Vikings, culturally speaking, that swashbuckling pirates, and then the ancestral honoring of like the Chinese and Japanese cultures. So you essentially have like a shrine where your family members are interred. But rather than, the lanterns and stuff, it's just monuments essentially. There's a lot of, depending on what they were, if they were craftsmen, there's a crafting tool. If they were warriors, there's a weapon. Like those kind of things are stored there. Bodies are sent out to sea, and Viking pyre, with the exception of Loa speakers who are committed differently, their Viking pyre sent out to sea and burned. But their weapon or their crafting implement or something that identifies them is kept in the family shrine. So in this case, your brother's, spear is probably there.
Probably like a big, sort of like a two-handed.
Yeah.
It's quite a substantial looking thing.
Mm-hmm.
But it's essentially he's saying goodbye to his parents and then getting a few things for the journey. He's got like a notebook.
Do you go to that shrine?
Once he's got everything all together.
Okay.
His like last stop is the shrine.
So you make your way to the shrine. You leave your stuff outside as you would, because the only things allowed to enter this space are the thing you would wish to personally identify you in that time, and then obviously the clothes on your back. But you'd leave all your traveling supplies out. And so like if it was Olmth's hammer, like you'd go in with your hammer and what you're wearing. But you do the incense lighting ceremony. And is there anything you want to say to him? Because it is that very, the belief is that his spirit dwells within that weapon, which hangs on that wall.
I'm going on a journey, brother. And I do not know when I will return. Feels like the kind of thing should have been you. You would be better at this than I. Though maybe they would not let you leave. You would be too valuable. They can spare me. They don't need me here.
And behind you, you hear the voice of Borba, your mother. You know that isn't true. You chase.
It's not false either, though.
You chase your own wind, as you always have. Your brother flowed with the sails. You ford the oceans of your life with oars, because you choose your path against that which the world directed you. And there's nothing wrong with that. Your brother was a great warrior, but he was proud of you. And he would be proud of you now. Your father doesn't understand and never has. He's always wished for two sons to carry in his footsteps as a storm sworn. But that was never your path. And I pray to the lower that you know that he is proud of what you become.
I do.
And
He was the one who you both.
She steps forward and traces her fingers along that polished bone haft of your brother's spear and reaches up and lifts a necklace of various pearls and strange, kind of like seashell type implements from her neck. And she is a smaller woman, definitely on the small side for orcs, and she nestles it kind of over your head, sort of in like a circlet kind of manner, because it won't go much further than that. And she looks at you. This will protect you, and it will mean that we're always with you.
Well, I have the sea to carry and provide for me, and I have the sky to watch and guide me. And one way or another, I would find my way home.
When the wind sees ready to carry you back. towards your
I sort
legend,
of-
my son.
I sort of hug her and sort of lean down and sort of kiss her on the forehead.
She, your mother's getting older, but she's still proud. She's essentially an unofficial Loa speaker. Like, she didn't ever go to the lodge, but she claims to speak with a Loa, and she's one of those. Whether or not Olmthu believes that the shamanistic spirits and the Loa are the same thing or not is up to you, but your mother does. And that's why she was never admitted to the speaker's lodge, is because she firmly believes that she speaks for a Loa of the ocean, which shamanistically speaking and Loa speaking is not particularly accepted, but that is her belief. And she looks to you and nods and says, dawn is coming, and your ship will leave soon. Take care of your friends. It would appear that from what Allah says, they're important, as are you.
There is definitely they have an air of destiny.
Yes. That's what Alna believes. Skies watch over you, my son. And she
And
turns
you, mother.
and heads back to her hut, or to the longhouse where your extended family lives.
He just sort of place a hand on the spear, and there's just a quiet moment, and then he turns and leaves.
All right. Be sure to mark the necklace of Borba on your sheet, because it is a thing. And you all find yourselves aboard the ship for the night. And as morning dawns, you are all escorted up, and the camera cuts out as the peg-legged orc captain gives orders to her ragtag group of orcs who've chosen to follow someone who's believed to be cursed by the general most of their society. And the four of you, the camera closes out on you, all standing on the bow of your ship, sailing off to the east toward the Six Isles for this stage of your journey to see what secrets lie in Trana. So, everybody out there in YouTube land, thanks so much for joining us for this episode. We hope you had a good time. I have been your host and storyteller, Eric Taylor. Just a couple of quick business reminders. Be sure and check out all of our other programs. You can find all of the VODs for Unlawful Disorder here on YouTube, and you can watch Unlawful Disorder live at usually 8 a.m. Eastern on Saturday mornings US. And the VODs for the newest chapter of Otterworlding Odyssey, which is called Ley Lines of London, will all be available. So click over there in the playlist link. And if you haven't, please like this video, share this video with a friend, and subscribe to the channel. Down in the description, be sure and check out those links for Savage Mojo, their Kickstarter for the new version of Suzerain, which is a setting in Savage Worlds, will be coming out in September. So keep an eye out for that. And some of those links will take you to some free content. There's an adventure down there that's free, as well as some cool Suzerain stuff as well. So check that out, and be sure and check out our Patreon, patreon.com/DoRespite. Or if you like what you do, like what we do here, I hope you like what you do, but if you like what we do, you can support us. There should be, by the time this video goes live, a $1 tier. You have to jump through weird hoops with Patreon now to get a $1 tier. They suggest you stay at 3 as your lowest, but you can finagle some settings to set up a $1 tier. So I'm working on that. It's just time consuming and frustrating. So I get frustrated easily with it and haven't done it yet. But the idea is to get a $1 tier up there. So if you want to subscribe there for as little as $1, you can help us do what we do. Besides that, Shawnee B, how was game?
Game was good. It's always fun to be Sage because Sage is Sage, and there's really nothing more to say about that.
That's true. I have played with a number of super unique characters in my 20 plus years of doing this, and Sage is up there for super unique characters.
Sage is Sage.
You can find Chantel at Chantel B on Twitter or on wordswithcolor.com.
Yes. I will also be playing some City of Mist on any_actors Twitch channel. Just follow me on Twitter. I'll do the thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
So do that.
Do that.
And then she's here and everything else we do. Similarly, Sam is here in everything else we do. How was game, Sam?
That was great. Yeah. I was just thinking how this week's with ley lines was actually I don't know if happy is the right word, but it was like a positive.
It was a lighter
compared
game
to
than
like
this one was.
the end of the Paddington Prowler arc, and then comparing it to the beginning of the Ley Lines of London arc, were substantially different emotionally. But it was just sort of like, oh yeah, this is a really light. It was like it was pleasant. Some stuff definitely happened that we had to deal with, but like it was overall a positive thing, and that's interesting. Anyway, on to this other game. All right, I'm just gonna have it's gone quite well as well. Probably should just crush myself, just for the fun of it, right at the end, just for old time's sake.
Yeah, when Sam was like, I'm gonna go say goodbye to my parents, and is there like a burial place? And I'm like, oh
Yeah,
he's
it's
gonna,
like,
he's gonna go talk to his dead brother. This is gonna be sad.
yeah, it was just sort of like, what do I need to do when I leave? Well, I need to do this and this, and oh yeah, okay, let's do that one as well. Yay.
You can follow Sam at @the_real_SammyP. He's a voice actor and performer based in Brisbane. Check out his latest work on the Penny Peep Show podcast, where he did a town called Prodigal. Also, check out all their other stuff because it's real good. And then you can find him here on everything we do. So
I feel like I need to do something because it's like it's gone from like this is the thing I did recently, and then to like this is the last thing I did. It's like,
you're always
Well, I think
welcome
there's
to do something new.
there's a podcast that I recorded like beginning of the year that I sort of had to look into, and I don't think they've reached my episodes yet. So
When they do, we
I
will
guess
plug
that's a thing
Uh-huh.
to be, which you reminded me because it was the Disney debate, which
Yeah, it was the
I was debating
Incredibles
about
debate.
the Incredibles.
I know.
I was
Our-
apparently
Our
with Eric on
friendship
the wrong
almost
side.
didn't start. Yeah. Because of those opinions. Sarah, how's game?
It was good. It had all the things: battle, food descriptions, Princess Bride quotes, touching moments that I got to watch and not be the one crying in. I loved it.
Alrighty. You can follow Sarah on Twitter at RPGameBeast. And Sarah is here for Ley Lines of London, playing Nora. Frito, how's game?
Game was good. It was fun. It's nice to be back and doing stuff again.
I will admit, when you have newer players like Frito, you always have fears that when you take weeks off, which it was a very necessary week off for me. This would have been a very different session if we tried to run it last week. That would have been a much nastier Kraken as a thing, for example.
Gentler.
I was You know, you always get worried that your newer players and be like, I don't need this in my life. I remember that now. My life was fine before RPGs. It's the people who have fun that are like, oh man, I missed my RPG this week. I want it to come back. And that always feels good. So I'm glad people have fun. Yeah, that's it. We're gonna get on out of here. Thanks again, everybody, for watching. Be sure and like, share, and subscribe. All those YouTube things. Let people know about the show. The best version of advertising is not all of the tweets I put out or don't put out on Twitter, or all of the posts I do or don't put out on Facebook. It's literally you just telling somebody that it's cool and you like it, because people will trust you more than any fancy marketing I do on tweets. We endeavor to tell good stories, and we endeavor to make people feel things, but also have a good time and enjoy the stories we tell. So if you've looked at previous arcs of Do Respite and been like, oh man, this is super heavy, like the world is super heavy right now. So Do Respite's going to be a little bit less heavy because we need less heavy in our life because our world is heavy. So buckle up for a little bit more Indiana Jones and a little bit less whatever the hell we used to tell about. So we're something a little bit different now. Come in and see what that is. But we got a lot of stories to tell. I think I was talking on, what was I talking on Monday? I got at least 3 years worth of Otterworld and at least 5 years worth of Emios that could be told if my players want to stick around. So, and if my audience wants to stick around, that's cool too. But yeah, until next time, on behalf of my wonderful cast, Chantel B, Deep Frito, Sam Pelagio, and Sarah, I've been Eric Taylor. Good night. Good luck. Stay safe. Stay healthy. Please love one another. And we will see all of you in our next episode. Bye, everyone.